we are so blessed to have Shiv from Kit, FKA ConvertKit. They just did the awesome rebranding, and it went just so glitch free. I've never seen any kind of major rebranding like that without any glitch. The services didn't go out for a single minute, and they were doing all those stuff in the back end. And I get email from Shift educating us, the domain getting changed, not a minute out of commission. So Shift, really thank your team and all of the services.
Yeah, right on, right on. I appreciate
Yeah.
you.
Awesome. So what we have here today is going to be a email growth engine, and we're very honored to have Shift, which is the educator lead from the Kit team, from straight from the mothership. So we are very honored to have this co-branded workshop, and let me just quickly introduce her to everybody, to us. And it's my turn. So most people know me. I've been blasting your inbox on LinkedIn and email and social media. My name is Kenneth Lo. I run a agency called ZenBiz out of San Francisco, and so we do a lot of AI marketing, digital marketing. And my background has been in startup, venture, and private equity. That was my last corporate gig, and I left that job about 18 months ago to go into this AI headfirst. So this is the journey, and after using all of those email platforms and CRM and things like that, where I end up with Kit, because it's so easy to use, it's all in one, it's holistic, and it integrates with other platforms as well. So that's why we're here to talk about, and just some AI digital marketing stuff you already know from my writing. But what's lesser known is that I'm a speed demon. I was a speed demon. I love riding bike really fast because I couldn't afford paying for speeding tickets. So instead, I ride bike really fast. So I got some titles, but that was all in the past. I'm now mellow and zen, I would like to think, because I retired from bike racing a couple of years ago. Then here we are. So I'm going to go over to Shift. I'm going to introduce you guys. He is Kids Creator Educator. So before this webinar began, I asked him whether he was real. I was like trying to make sure that he wasn't just a hologram or avatar, because I see him everywhere. I see him at conference. I see him popping out in email, popping out in the lower right bubble. But he's real. And what he specializes in is helping creators like you and me build sustainable businesses through what? Email marketing. There's a lot of skepticism out there, but he's going to help us tackle all of it and share all the trade secrets.
I love it. I love it. Let's do it. Let's dive into those trade secrets. And let me just say, that second bullet point here, I am at Kit here because I love the story of people doing what they love for a living. I love it so much. I love creators. So excited to be speaking to you. Excited to be here with you, Kenneth. And just a little side note, things I love most in life: Green Day, Marvel, and the Chicago Bears. So if anybody loves any of those three things, give me a shout out in the chat, and I would love that more than anything. And by the way, I apologize in advance if my Wi-Fi, the joys of working from home, if anybody has experienced the joys of working from home, feel free to give me a little thumbs up or a hand raise in the chat. I am currently experiencing those today, which is my Wi-Fi being a little shaky. And so I will, if at all my Wi-Fi drops off, I promise get it fixed up. I got my hotspot ready to go. But just let me know in the chat if you can't hear me or something like that. I'll make sure that I reset the Wi-Fi and switch over to my hotspot. So please let me know in the chat. All right, what we're going to be talking about today is going to be, number one, why you need flywheels for your business. What a flywheel is. And don't worry, if you're at the place where you're like, Shiv, what the heck is a flywheel? What are you talking about? We'll talk about what it is. We'll start from there and then grow from there. And then we'll talk about a specific flywheel where we talk about growing your leads, partnering with other creators, your welcome sequence when you first come into your audience, and then monetizing your audience as well. And of course, we would give you some great next steps from there. Now, as somebody who has facilitated thousands of workshops and then, of course, attended that many as well, there's a couple things that I want to make sure for y'all. So number one, get the most out of this workshop by posting questions for us in the chat. I want to make sure that we can understand what your questions are. Don't stay silent. If you're confused about something, I'm happy to go ahead and stop the presentation, look at what your questions are, bring them up and start answering them. In addition to that, we have Alicia from our team in the chat. They're ready to answer your questions as well, sharing resources for you guys. And in fact, let's just preemptively give Alicia a little bit of love in the chat, because she's going to be taking care of us all webinar long. So thank you for that, Alicia. There we go. I love it. Number two, make sure look at that. I love the new Apple, yeah, there we go.
I couldn't even stop it. I was
Yeah,
doing some other gestures.
it's impressive. We'll have a recording. I know that's the number one question that people have. Is there going to be a recording? Yes. Yes is the answer. We'll get that over to you later today. And then number three, follow along in your kit accounts. There's nothing. I have sat through webinars, hour long, and I'm like, wow, I feel so inspired. I'm ready to go. This is going to be so great. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh, shoot, but all I have is notes. Now I need to implement what I just learned through my notes. You know what's even better than that? Implementing as we go along inside of the workshop. And so what we're going to do is we're going to post a couple of links here. Number one, a link if you are new to Kit. If you're on, I see a couple of people from MailChimp, a couple of people on other tools. If you are new to Kit, we're going to post a link in that chat right now or on the side. Feel free to get your Kit account right now. This is free, 100%. A couple of the things that we talk about today will be transferable, right? When we talk about email strategy, you could build some of that inside of MailChimp. You could build some of that inside of another email tool. A lot of other things we're going to be talking about today are specific to Kit, and you will not be able to do inside of a MailChimp or inside of another tool. And so just to get that muscle memory, I'd suggest getting your free account right now get the muscle memory, follow along with us. We have a separate link for you if you are already a Kit customer to get you upgraded over to that paid plan. It's free, but our paid resources, our paid features for free for you. You'll have access to that for 14 days, and you'll be able to follow along on some of the tools that we talk about today. So separate link if you're already on Kit with a free account, separate link if you are new to Kit. We'll make sure both of those links get sent in the chat there. Okay, great. Well, let's talk all about Flywheels. Talk all about Flywheels. I already see a great question coming in. Kenneth saying, how do I get that sweet Kit hat out here? That's a great question. This is a coveted one. I didn't even expect it. It was a surprise to me that the team sent me the Kit hat. I'm hoping that we have them on sale when we get our conference out in June. So you'll have to come over to that, Kenneth, and we'll make sure we get you a hat there.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk all about what is a flywheel. What is a flywheel? Well, let me tell you all a quick story. So this is a story of our CEO, Nathan. This was a couple years back. He was tasked. He was doing this mission trip in the south of Africa, and he was in this small village, and he was tasked with building a well, building this water system for this small town. Now, when he was building this well, he had two choices for the type of pump he used, for the actual type of vessel that is used to go ahead and dispel the water. Now, the first choice he had was the hand pump. The hand pump, what you see here. Just take a step back. We think about the physics of the hand pump. You use your energy to push down on the handle. This valve opens up, and the same consistent stream of water comes out, right? You use your energy, push down, same consistent stream of water comes out. You got to push back up, right? And then you got to push back down to reopen the valve, same consistent stream of water. The more energy you put, you are still going to get that same consistent stream of water. This was different than the second choice he had, which was the flywheel. The flywheel, he said at first, actually was quite rigid at first. Took the strength of both of his hands to go ahead and get that first turn. But once he got one turn of the flywheel, he was able to do it with one hand. After doing it with one hand, he was able to do it with 3 fingers. After 3 fingers, he was able to get this thing going with just simply 1 finger. And the ironic thing was, at the long run, not only did the flywheel take less effort, right? He was able to do it with 1 finger by the end, but he was getting far more water. He was getting far more water out of using the flywheel than he was putting his energy into using the hand pump. This is what we want to do for our business, right? Aside from the benefit of doing the hand pump and getting your triceps pumped, as Kenneth says, the flywheel is going to give us more results in the long run. And so this is the type of process we want to build for our business. Right? Number one rule of flywheels is we need to create processes that are cyclical. We need to build things in a cycle. I'm sure many of you have heard of a funnel, for example, right? We want to start with some kind of way to capture leads, for example, and then slowly convert them into customers. Funnels are great. Funnels are really good, but they are just the first stepping stone to turning them into a cyclical process that can be a flywheel. Now, step number two, I want you to think about a process that allows you to make each rotation of that easier than the previous rotation. Because you've done that turn, because you've gone through an entire turn of that flywheel, each rotation will be easier, partly because each rotation should be producing more results than the previous rotation. Should be getting more and more water, should be getting more and more leads, more and more money. Let me give you an example. We can think about what a flywheel is. Let me give you a quick example. This is one that I've personally been impacted by because I have this newsletter where I teach photographers how to grow their business, and I started a couple of years back. I'm more of like a speaker, podcaster, YouTuber by trade. And so writing is not my forte by any means. But I love writing. I've grown to start to love it, and I've tried getting better and better at it. But I'm somebody who experiences a lot of writer's block. I will sit there on a Monday and scratch my head sometimes and be like, shoot, my Wednesday newsletter is 2 days away. What is the topic that I should be writing about? What is the idea, the spark that I should write about? And so here's how I went about solving that through the endless content idea flywheel. So where we start off with in this flywheel is at the very top, we have new subscribers. And we're actually going to talk about new subscribers in just a second here. Tons of examples of how to generate brand new subscribers. But one specific way, maybe you have subscribers come in from your blog, right? So people are reading your blog. They're like, wow, I love this blog so much, getting so much good value. And so they go ahead and subscribe to your emails at the very bottom, the form that you have in your blog. Maybe they check out your reels on Instagram, or they're watching your videos on YouTube. They go to the description in your YouTube video and hit that landing page and type in their email address, or go to the link in your bio side of Instagram and type in their email address. But regardless, right, we'll talk about a couple of ways in a little bit, but regardless, they're getting onto your list. You're getting new subscribers. When you first get new subscribers, we're going to give them a great, consistent experience of who you are, right? We're going to give them a couple of emails, 3-4 emails when anybody comes into your business at the beginning of who you are and why you do what you do, and a couple of your best content, right? But in that sequence, one of the things that we're going to do is we are going to engage our audience. What we're going to do is we're going to ask our audience, hey, what's your biggest challenge? I ask my audience, what's your biggest challenge with growing your photography business? What's your biggest challenge in growing your photography business? I get people hitting the reply button. They reply back to that email. And so I have this folder in Gmail. Where I capture all those responses. Everybody who responds to that email gets put in that folder. And so what I do is I sit there on Monday and I'm like, okay, shoot, what should I write about? Scratching my head. I open up that folder and I scroll through, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Kenneth, what a great question that he's asked me here. What I'm going to do is hit the respond button and respond to Kenneth with a really thoughtful response. But I'm also going to repurpose that response and make it my next newsletter. I'm also going to take that newsletter and I'm going to turn it into my next YouTube video, my next Instagram reel, my next blog article. What is all that going to do? Well, the more great content that I'm putting out, the more new subscribers I'm going to get. The more new subscribers I get, the more people who are going to get welcome questions. More welcome questions mean more captured responses. More responses mean more ideas for me to base off my next newsletter, right? Each turn of this flywheel will produce more and more results. Each turn of this flywheel will get easier and easier. And each turn of this flywheel, the reason that we're able to do that is because it's built in a circle. It's built cyclically. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Yeah,
Shiv?
please.
Yes, it's kind of spicy. Is that okay?
I love a good spicy question.
It's not censored or anything, right?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So creators get sucked into hustle loop, once they do something and it just like it kind of blows up.
Yeah.
What is the most common mistake when trying to scale using this flywheel? What are the common pitfalls that we should tell us to kind of avoid, like before even engage into this?
Yeah. Good question. You're saying specifically with this flywheel, with like entertaining, getting ideas from your audience.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Well, I'll say this, the early stages of your business, I think the biggest mistake people make is not doing this flywheel and basing their content solely off of what they think the problem that their customers have or their prospective customers have, rather than directly asking your audience what is it that they want to solve. Right? I think that's the problem. And so this is a flywheel that I think, like, if you have, like, you're the early stages of building your business. Say you're on your first 10 subscribers, right? You're on your first sub 100
I have
subscribers.
12.
There you go. So you got 12 subscribers. and you're doing this, and say maybe you're not getting responses, right, to this, because you've got 10 subscribers and you're like, okay, well, I don't have a super high response rate to this email yet. Well, what I would go out and do is I would still use the methodology of, hey, my customers and my prospective subscribers, they should be the inspiration behind the content that I'm creating on what I'm trying to solve for. And so I would go one-on-one, manually email those people and say, hey, is this something that you're interested in? Or if you create a lead magnet, which we'll talk about in a second, creating a guide and things like that. If you create a lead magnet, maybe even email it directly to them and say, hey, I made this specifically with you in mind because I think that this is your challenge. Does this help solve it? I would even love to get on a 10-minute Zoom call with you and understand if this is valuable for you. Let me give you free one-on-one coaching for a little bit and understand if what I know can help solve your problem. The more that you can provide value up front, the better you're going to use that for testimonials to then go scale up your subscriber base to say, okay, well, this person really enjoyed this lead magnet. I can then ask them for a testimonial and put it on my landing page. Or, hey, this person gave me lots of inspiration for what their challenges are at the front because I manually went ahead and asked. Now I have all these content ideas that'll help me grow my list automatically because I have so much great content ideas. Great question.
Great idea. Great idea. Great idea.
I love it. It's a great question. It's a great question. Well, let's talk about the flywheel that we're going to really be speaking on today, which is the revenue flywheel. Again, the idea of growing your audience, sending beautiful emails, making some money, and let's pair it back over at the top as well. So let's talk, starting with the gain new subscribers section. And when we're talking about gain new subscribers, it all starts off with a lead magnet. We need to have some kind of way to go ahead and capture leads at the very top. I would love to know, do you all in the chat, do you have consistent growth from your lead magnets? Or if you don't know what a lead magnet is, if you're like, Shiv, what are you talking about? Or you don't have one set up, let me know as well. If you do have one set up, I would love to know in the chat, what is your lead magnet? Give me a little bit of context in the chat, what your lead magnet is. If it's an ebook, a guide, it's a checklist, a mini course, give me a good sense of what that is and what your business is all about. But what I want to say, a lead magnet here is it's an irresistible piece of content, a piece of content that you absolutely need that'll help solve one of your challenges in exchange for your email address. Anything could be an a lead magnet. You can see Scott there said, I have an educational email course on optimizing LinkedIn for job seekers. Love that, right? Over the course of, say, 5 days, Scott is going to send you a series of emails that'll teach you how to ramp up your LinkedIn profile, right? I just subscribed to something a couple of days ago that said, hey, you want a new workout plan. Here's what those 3-day workout plan is. And they sent me a guide immediately when I gave them my email address. Or we have, for example, Kenneth's lead magnet here with the Zen AI survival kit. Scott, Kenneth, if you don't mind just breaking down a little bit here, what was the inspiration that caused you to create this lead magnet here? How did you know this was something that your audience wanted?
So this was a bit of a guessing. I have a hint, talking to a lot of prospects, and then they all say, okay, AI sounds great. How do I get on the bandwagon? And they all have problems. Like they don't have the data, as they're not really collecting any analytics. So it's hard to be starting with a good products or even like a framework without any good data. So I compiled a bunch of questions from my email, my inbox, and my sent box, and then kind of compiling it into like a PDF that's very digestible with some actionable items, and then I put it together. That was a hypothesis that that would be valuable to the intended audience.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. As long as you can think of some kind of challenge and problem that your audience has, right? And you can go ahead and then solve that in turn with some kind of asset. That's the name of the game. And if you, just as a piece of advice, if we're talking to beginners here who don't have their lead magnet set up, what I would do is I would go find at least like 10 communities. I would go find, even, let me pare that down. Let me not make that such a like unreachable number. Even find like a handful, 3 communities in which your target audience lives. Right. So for me, again, my business is teaching photographers, and I teach specifically like new early stage photographers how to grow their business. And so what I did is I looked at Chicago, where I live. I found local photographer meetups at like creative co-working spaces. I went on LinkedIn. I found these like groups that I found on Facebook. I found Facebook groups of brand new photographers, and I would go into these communities and just ask questions. What are you all struggling with? Like, I would read the comments that people give of like how they don't know how to price their services, on how they don't know exactly how to use their gear at the top. They don't know where to rent out versus buying their equipment, how to balance those things out. It was a treasure trove of understanding what the challenges are. And then you just build education to that. What medium you choose is up to you. If you like doing that through a video course, if you like doing that through audio with a podcast, if you like doing that through a guide or a checklist, the medium is up to you. But find the problem, solve it through some kind of medium that you feel comfortable with, and then get it out there to help solve those challenges.
Yeah.
Another good example of that is, oh, sorry, I'm not there yet. Oh, sorry. So once you have your lead magnet, the vessel to actually collect that email address is going to be a landing page. The vessel to collect that is going to be a landing page, right? Some kind of page where we have the form that asks for name, email address, right? Where we can describe the value of that lead magnet. You can see Kenneth's landing page right here for the Zen AI Survival Kit. What I really love about this is just that it's a very, like, there's a spectrum I find in businesses of like people who just heard about you for the first time, and people who are your like 10th customer, right? Who you're like, they bought 10 things from you, right? You're their most loyal customer. They're everything in between. And when you're first starting off with a business and you're just finding out about them, you don't have the luxury, I find, to be describing things in like paragraphs and paragraphs and having this really long copy. So I like how Kenneth is very like, punchy with this, very short copy, tells you exactly what this is going to give you, and then gives you the form, and you're able to go ahead and download this from here.
So Shiv, I got a question, and
Please.
I get asked all the time, and every time I'm saying, as you know, I just don't know for sure, like how many landing pages should we have?
A good question. A good question. Well, I don't know that there's a limit. Like, let me give this example here of Nick True. So he is this YouTuber. He's a budgeting creator, finance creator. He is primarily a YouTube creator. He creates a separate lead magnet for every YouTube video he creates. And so for him, he has like this video, for example, is about daily, monthly, weekly, and monthly budgeting. And so in the description, you can click on the link, and then you get his landing page. And then this specific lead magnet is about daily, weekly, monthly routines for budgeting. And he's going to change out the lead magnet for the next YouTube video he has. Now, I know for Nick, he has incredible conversion rates of his viewership on his YouTube videos to downloading the lead magnet, because it's so in alignment to the content that people are watching, right? So he has a ton of landing pages and a ton of lead magnets, but that is not something that I should discourage people from creating simply just one to start with, right? Their marketing is simply the science of throwing something at a wall and seeing what sticks. And if it works, you keep doing it. And if it doesn't work, you try something new. And so when it comes to your lead magnet and your landing page, you need to think about, what are the challenges that my audience has? For every new challenge that somebody has, yeah, you might be able to think about a new lead magnet that you might be able to start off from that. But think about the challenges that they have. And if you have one singular product, one singular guide or mini course or checklist that solves the primary challenge that people have when they come to your business, then by all means, you can create an entire business off of simply one lead magnet, one landing page. You truly can. But if your audience has multiple challenges in what you teach, then you're probably going to find the more and more lead magnets and more landing pages you create, the better you're going to be able to surface them. So don't think about the number of landing pages as much as you think about the number of challenges and how you can solve those challenges.
That's a great reframe. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Shiv.
definitely. I see some good questions coming in about open rates. Scott, I will promise you we're going to be talking about emails in a second here. So I will go ahead and answer that when we get to the email section. But hold on to that question because I'll definitely go ahead and answer it later. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about, show you all just how easy it is to go ahead and build a great landing page inside of Kit. And so if we slide over, this is the section where I'd love for y'all to pull up your Kit accounts. If we slide over here, we can go over to grow and we can go to landing pages and forms. Grow, then landing pages and forms. Once we're there, we have two options between creating a landing page or creating a form. The form is simply just a widget of name, email address. You can ask additional questions too. The landing page is helping us create a dedicated page for that form, right? So we probably want to create a dedicated page so that we can describe the value of that lead magnet inside that page. Now on here, we have so many different templates. Whether you're doing a guide, you're doing a webinar, a wait list, you're giving out a video, you could choose the one that makes the most sense for you. For right now, I'm just going to pick the first one that says Abby. But again, you all can pick the one that most aligns to the lead magnet that you're trying to create. In here, it's so easy to switch out the imagery. For example, we have thousands of copyright-free images through Unsplash here. It's so easy if you want to switch out the copy or the form. Kenneth, I actually want to ask you, I think I already know the answer based on what I just saw on your landing page, but do you typically favor shorter copy for your landing pages, longer copy? What's your thoughts there?
So I like that how you kind of put these people in the spectrum, that whether people haven't bought anything or people have bought, the 10th products. I think, just by talking to people, they are so busy. I get a lot of people, they're watching this email as they're brushing their teeth or cooking or picking up the kids. So their attention span maybe like 5 seconds. So it's really hard to kind of, hey, sit down, look at the desktop. I got this awesome copywriting like Oscar Wilde. I just haven't been able to, get that kind of luck. So I prefer punchy, spicy, opinionated subtitles and a hero section like that.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree. I think that there's like limited things that are absolutely vital on your landing page. The main things are that you need to have a form that at very least asks email address, ideally name as well. You could ask additional questions, but the problem is again, think about the spectrum. Early on, the more questions we're asking, the more chance we have of drop off of people not filling out the form, not filling out the landing page. By all means, I know the more information you have, the more personalized you can create somebody's journey, but find that balance, right? Because you can always ask questions later on in their journey as well when they do become your first customer, second customer, 10th time that they bought from you. Well, then that's a great opportunity to ask them more and more questions. And then like you said here, punchy, right? Point A, point B, point C. Here's, what you're going to get. Always be speaking in terms of value for the person that's on this page. And then let's give them some punchy content. It can also help to have some level of social proof or something like that. Not absolutely necessary, but I find like when I first started my photography guide, right, like my pricing guide, I I did what I just suggested to you all, which is I had like 10 people on my list, emailed it to people manually. I'm like, I think this will help. Please check it out. Went into communities, had people check it out, and they'd be like, oh yeah, this is pretty cool. This is helping me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, like try implementing it. I'd like very manually one-on-one work with people. And when somebody was like, wow, this worked really well for me, I'd be like, great. Can you give me a quote by chance? Like I was like pretty manual in obtaining some of these like early, just like early value points of like how to describe it and the testimonials. But doing that allowed me to create a page that scaled up when more and more people came here where they're like, wow, look at this guy's quote. John got 2x revenue from it. That was me chasing after John asking, hey, can you give me some kind of quote if this helped you? An honest quote, but if this helped you. But then that helped scale up with new subscribers as I
went. Yeah, I love how especially I think I just saw an email from you or from your team saying that there's some new apps. There's an app for that now, and Sanja is one of the testimonial that I actually happen to be using. And I said, wow, this is great. This is perfect, and I can't wait until that ecosystem is even like, I think it's got like 20 apps or something like that now, and I'm sure that
And
people
growing.
would, yeah.
Yeah. We're going to do a big launch next year. Little secret for you. Just we're going to have some good new apps on there. So definitely keep a lookout for that. It's going to be a really good one.
Okay, amazing.
Okay, and then of course we need to deliver the lead magnet some way. So when we go in here, we can upload our lead magnet here, whether it's a guide or if we're linking out to like a course or something here. And the way that lead magnet actually gets delivered is via email. And so we can go ahead and edit what that email looks like here. We call this our incentive email or incentive delivery email. Easy as pie. Easy as pie. So we're building leads through some kind of source with our lead magnet or landing page up here. But we want to find other ways to make sure that we can go ahead and build leads inside a kit. And the way that we're going to do that secondarily is through the power of partnerships. Power partnerships. Curious from you all in the audience, do you currently leverage partnerships with other creators to grow your list? This could be through the power of being a guest on somebody's podcast, or maybe showing up on somebody's YouTube videos. Maybe you co-write blog articles with somebody, right? Any one of those is really great for sources of leveraging partnerships. I see most people are saying no here. Kenneth, curious from your perspective, if you've ever partnered with anybody, like being a guest on a podcast or anything like that.
So it was cricket for the longest time.
Yeah.
And then I actually went away on a medical leave for a couple of months. And I got a picture of me getting wheeled into an operation room, and that got the most, like 14,000 views. So I had kind of have to go through that extent to get some
Sure.
views. And from that, I came back out on a medical leave, and I asked people to just follow up and say, "Oh, you're alive. Let's get on a catch up call." And then a catch up
Yeah.
call say, "Wow, it's such a good story. Let's get you on a podcast." So I am
Right.
starting to get two or three in the pipeline, and it takes a surgery, a neurosurgery to get to that. Hopefully, I don't have to repeat that too often.
Well, we're thankful and happy that you're well, and we're also thankful to be hearing your voice soon on some of those podcasts. But I think there's another lesson in the story that you just said there, which is that the you should absolutely go on podcasts and you should absolutely co-write blog articles and do YouTube videos. But the process in getting onto a podcast can be quite a lengthy period of time. Finding the right podcast to get on, getting on the podcast, researching your topic that you're going to be speaking on beforehand, speaking on it, recording it, editing it, publishing it, and then promoting it. And ultimately, from the promotion and people listening to that podcast, hopefully funneling them into some kind of landing page to collect email addresses. It's quite a lengthy process. It's a little bit hand pumpy, right? How can we turn that into the flywheel version of partnerships with creators? Well, the way we can do that is through the
Mm,
power of the creator network, through recommendations. This is a tool we built here at Kit where it essentially says, hey, audience, hey, if you love my emails, you're definitely going to love Kenneth's emails. If you love me, you're definitely going to love Kenneth's emails. You should definitely subscribe to him. And Kenneth can go to his audience and say, hey, if you love my emails, you're going to love Shiv's emails. You should subscribe to him. We can do that for brand new subscribers. We can do that for existing subscribers inside of our newsletter. It's so easy to go ahead and parse through. We have this whole marketplace inside of Kit of thousands and thousands of different creators, and you can go through and see who everybody else recommends and who's recommending them. You can choose the people that you're going to recommend. I see for here with Kenneth, these are the people that he's recommending. Kenneth, even if you could give us a little of, behind the scenes of like what drove you to recommend the people that you're recommending.
Oh, so it was as a long journey about 18 months ago when I started this entrepreneur journey. I went straight to Justin Welsh. I said, well, let me get some LinkedIn game going. And back then I didn't know how to do a LinkedIn post or any frequency or commenting or engaging or just being a good friend. I didn't know any of that. So that started the journey, got me into private community, made a couple of great people, Shalina. I met her through that, and I think she met you at a conference.
Yeah.
And then I started doing this podcast, and it was through the Creator Network I discovered Jay, and I started joining his community, and he's a great guy. And I comment on his post a couple of times, and say, "Wow, these mega influencers are actually just one keystroke away. You reach out to them, they may or may not comment. back, but there will be times that they just come in and say, "Wow, your day just changed," and just kind of my world started to open up after a long journey of cricket. And then it started to turn a little bit. It's still not three fingers. It's still like a kind of bicep-y kind of flywheel thing. I don't
Sure.
think I got that flying yet, but that has been my experience.
And that's the name of the game with the creator network. The actual function of like recommending people is quite easy, but who you choose to recommend, we always want to make sure that it's valuable to your audience, to specifically your audience, that the people that you're recommending is a value add. So the whole strategy around recommendations in creator network all revolves around who do you ultimately end up recommending, how do you vet them, how do you choose them, how do you introduce those recommendations to your audience. And so, yeah, I love that you're still testing that out, and that you're thoughtful in the way that you're approaching that. Um, let me show you all just like a little behind the scenes of like what that looks like inside a kit. And so if you do go over to grow and recommendations, then you're going to be able to see again that marketplace of thousands and thousands of different creators, thousands of different creators. You can filter them by creator type at the top, topic, or you can even search for keywords. We have this profile I'll show you in a second. I had this one creator. He was right here, Maurizio Leo, the perfect loaf. He bakes sourdough bread, and so I remember he was like, "Shiv, I couldn't help but notice there's not a sourdough bread option under creator type." I'm like, "Yeah, you're correct. There's no sourdough bread option under creator type. But if you do search for bread under the keywords, you're going to be able to find not only other bread creators, other sourdough bread creators specifically." And so we, again, thousands and thousands of creators. So like Scott's asking, do they all have to be using Kit? Yeah, all these creators are Kit creators. And to be part of this network, you have to be part of Kit. But again, the good news is that we have so many different types of niches and customers that use this. So you're typically going to find really good fits, a handful of them for your audience. Okay, so to vet somebody, to really figure out if they're going to be good for you, we can go through, we can start to click through. This part I like to think of like as the LinkedIn of creators, right? We can see who people are recommending, and then we can see who people are being recommended by in order to really understand how they're growing their list and who their partnerships are. We can even go as far as seeing a whole profile that you can build inside a kit that shows you past newsletter posts that they've written, so you can read them, understand if they're going to be a value add to your audience. You can go through and understand the links that they send out, kind of like a link tree. What are the links that are valuable to them, the products that they sell, again, the people they recommend. And you can use all this as information to assess, is this somebody that I would want to recommend to my audience? In fact, let me give you all a quick tip. Here is probably the most underutilized strategy when it comes to partnering with people on the Creator Network. I think this is like second to none, the easiest, lowest hanging fruit thing that you can do. I wouldn't call it easy, but it's certainly low hanging fruit. I would go through, I would check out, like, think about your ideal profile of a type of person who would be very valuable to your audience. If you are a marketer who teaches people about email marketing, right? Well, then you should probably find other marketers that teach them about other facets of marketing, like social media marketing and branding and SEO and all these things. So you find whatever your best strategy is of the ideal persona, find that person inside of recommendations. Find one person like that. You go through, look at the people they're recommending, look at the people they're recommended by, and start to build that profile of like 5 or 6 people that you're like, I think I have a hypothesis. I don't know for sure, but I think these people would provide value to my audience. What I want you to do is I want you to go to their profile, and I want you to type in your email address right here, subscribe to their newsletter, right? Subscribe to their newsletter. You're going to be part of their newsletter. And I know that we all have really busy schedules week to week. We all have lots of emails that are coming into our inbox. What I want you to do is I want you to go to your inbox and create a folder, just like I did in the AMA Flywheel. I want you to create a separate folder in Gmail or in Outlook that says potential creator network recommendations. Potential creator network recommendations. I want you to filter all emails that come in from the marketing design dispatch and from Nathan Barry, and from whatever the other 5 or 6 people that you subscribe to are. I want you to filter all those emails into specifically that folder. Then each week, when you get the urge to scroll on Instagram or do something like that, and you're like, okay, instead of doing that for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm going to open up Gmail and I'm going to scroll through that folder and just read a couple of those newsletters. And the ones that you read that are really in alignment to your audience and you feel like will drive value, you're like, great, awesome. What I'm going to do, well, let me start with this. The ones that you read, but you're like, they're not going to be valuable, hit the unsubscribe button. No harm, no foul, no problem. But the ones that do drive value, hit the reply button. Hit the reply button to that person, read a couple of their issues and say, hey, I read the last 3 issues of your newsletter. I loved the story where you talked about burnout and how it impacted you. Like, it was very impactful for me to read that story. I actually also write about creator burnout and XYZ. I found you through the Creator Network, by the way. Love the way that you write. I think my audience would love your emails. And I potentially think if these are the type of emails you're sending, your audience might love mine as well. Here are the number of subscribers I have. Here's what I can do for you. Why don't we recommend each other? Or, hey, why don't we show up in each other's podcasts? Or why don't we co-write a blog article? You can find other ways to partner with these people in addition to the Creator Network. And so, again, taking that approach can be so, so incredible. There's nothing more heartwarming than somebody giving me an email that says, hey, I read your content and I love it. And by the way, I love it so much, I want to tell other people about your content. It's a heartwarming email to get.
Yeah. And so, Shiv, like, why is it such a good thing to get that reply? I mean, like, as the creator, does it help with the deliverability? I mean, that's more technical, but like, why is it so heartwarming other than, that message is very personable?
Well, as far as like on a technical level, when it comes to deliverability, your main thing metrics that you're looking for are going to be number 2 things. It really boils down to one core thing when we're talking about deliverability. You do not want people to hit the spam button. You do not want people to hit the spam button. That is the most core metric that will impact your deliverability. Having people open your emails has an effect, of course. Having people click on the links in your emails, even having high unsubscribes isn't necessarily as impactful. Like, I almost keep that unsubscribe button as a wide open door for my email, for my newsletter. I'm like, please, if you do not want these emails, I am more than happy. Like, giant button, feel free, unsubscribe here, totally fine.
Wow.
I clean my list periodically too, like pretty frequently, automatically. If somebody hasn't opened up in like 30 days, I'll be like, hey, it seems like you haven't opened up an email. I'm going to unsubscribe you automatically from the list if I don't hear from you, because unsubscribes are not nearly as devastating to your ability to get your email into an inbox than somebody hitting the spam button. I want to avoid that at all costs, even if it means losing some subscribers through the unsubscribe button. And so as far as the replies go and like having that impact, again, marginal impacts, maybe.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really about protecting yourself from the spam button.
Okay.
The other half of it, like half of your deliverability, even like I'd say like 60% of your deliverability is on you as a sender and like how people are responding to your emails, hitting the spam, not hitting the spam. But the other like 30-40% is on the sender that you're sending from, like the server that you're sending from. So Kit here, whether you're using Kit servers, you're using MailChimp servers, you're using Constant Contact, Active Campaign servers. And so Kit, we treat deliverability very seriously because of that. So we make sure that we vet all the senders that come our way, that we make sure that people are sending out good emails, they're in good standing, because you're helped by our good deliverability servers, by the fact that we have a community of good senders that instantly gives you that, again, the 30%, 40, I can't give you a perfect, number, but that 30-40%, that boosts you. We help on that front. But again, a vast majority, 60-70% is on how you send as a sender.
Okay.
It's a good question.
Great. Thank you, Shiv.
Yeah. Okay. So we talked about different ways to get new subscribers. Let's talk about sending great emails. And the way that I want to speak on that right now is, I know that some of you will probably be sending beautiful newsletters, weekly newsletters, but I want to speak on the first couple of emails that somebody gets from you, right? Those first 3 or 4 emails that somebody gets from you, that initial welcome sequence. they can get a really true brand experience of who you are. And it all starts with honestly the delivery of your lead magnet. Like I have this one here, that you get from here when you subscribe to the Zen AI survival kit. In fact, Kenneth, if you could speak to those first couple emails that somebody gets when they subscribe to you, I would love to hear what kind of components do you put into your emails in those first couple of emails in your welcome sequence.
Yeah. So it's kind of like going on a date, which I haven't been for a couple of decades. So I want to deliver some quick wins. I want to deliver some values upfront. So it is kind of like, writing a piece of news article. I haven't been reading newspaper in print so much anymore, but it's like deliver the good stuff first upfront. And so in this matter, Gamma, which is a Gen AI text to presentation tool. And I was looking at my analytics, right? I was doing this LinkedIn posting for 18 months. And there were a couple of things. Whenever I talk about killing PowerPoint or PowerPoint by murder by PowerPoint, something like that, I get really huge engagement. So I know
Yeah.
people don't really like reading or just like consuming or making PowerPoint presentation. So I look at that, and so I put that as the first day. And so I deliver some quick wins. Like, wow, that's really good. So let's see what day 2 is going to look like.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And it's all focused, it sounds like, on like just delivering value to the audience that they know. You heard from your audience that they want to understand how to like revolutionize presentations and all these things. So you're just delivering value based on what you've heard from your audience. I love that. I think that's one of the most core aspects of a welcome sequence. The quicker that we can deliver value to people, and so that we can answer their challenges, right? Similar to the lead magnet, we want to deliver value as quickly as possible. The more trust that they're going to have in our content and us as a creator, and continue to work with us, right? It builds trust, like Scott's saying. And so we want to make sure we get there as quickly as possible. But other aspects that we want to have in those first couple of emails: who are we? Who are we, and who are we for, and who are we not for? Like, I think it's important to really put your line in the sand of like, here's who are the people that I help. Here are the people that will find value from my content and who I serve. And having that line in the sand will help also define who you don't serve. And then having some level, like in the AMA flywheel, of engaging your audience as well. A really good example of this is Monica Lent. Monica Lent, she's one of the creators that work with us here at Kit. I don't know why this is resetting to the top here. So Monica Lent is, yeah, hold on. Let me make sure that we can go back to this. It's like presentations randomly. It's got a mind of its own right now. Mind of its own. All right, Monica Lent. Here we go. So, man, this is not working with me. I'm like, keep clicking next slide, and it'll go like right back to the top for me. Okay, so here we go. Monica Lent. There it is. So for her, she has this like lovely newsletter, or sorry, she has this lovely thing at the top here that oh, sorry, I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know why this is happening. This is like literally a mind of its own here. She has a newsletter where she has a welcome sequence where she just delivers incredible value at the very top. And so she will have like, I want to say like 8 or 9 emails at the very top that talk about how you blog, how you can go ahead and start your blog, where should you publish your content, how do you come up with your ideas, where do you craft content, things like that. But what she'll do at the very end of that, right? She'll start off by introducing herself. And what she'll do at the end of that is she'll ask a question. She'll ask that question of, hey, what is your biggest challenge? Like, why did you sign up? What was your motivation for blogging? What do you want to learn? And she says for this email, she gets a 25% response rate. A 25% response rate to this email. It's incredible. It's incredible. I think large in part, the reason that happens is because when she's going through all these emails, right? She has like a 9 email sequence at the very top of her welcome sequence. When she goes through this, she's going ahead and like really filtering down who is the right person for her, right? Who's the right audience member for her? Because you're getting like, again, 7 to 9 emails that are giving you value on, if you're a beginner blogger, here are the steps. And if you're not a beginner blogger, by email number 5, you're probably out. you're probably unsubscribed. And if you are a beginner blogger, you are hooked by the end of 7 to 9 emails. And so she gets an incredibly high response rate from this. And I think, again, as long as we're leading with value and really, heart, mind, and soul, having that, like, all the content really be aligned to the target audience that we're aiming for, that's how we're going to be able to filter out exactly who we're not for and keep around who we are for, so that we get such good response rates to this. And she, a quote from her, just like, she didn't want that interaction to end simply through the process of the lead magnet. That's why she always wanted to create some way to extend the interactive components. And so I think the more interaction, that's a trend that I've been seeing. The more interaction that you have inside of that welcome sequence, the better response rates you're going to get to people being engaged with even other emails like your newsletter. Now, in order to do this, to build a sequence like this, we're going to go to automate and then visual automations. And when you go there, tons of templates on automating your emails that you should definitely check out. Tons of ones that align to different things if you're launching a product or launching a podcast, things like that. But for now, I'm going to build an automation from scratch just so that we can visualize what this automation would look like. So when we do that, every automation will start with some kind of doorway, some kind of start trigger at the top, right? That could be, say, like, it could be like somebody purchasing a product, right? It could be that we learned a piece of information about somebody. It could be that somebody came in from the creator network, or somebody filled out our landing page, right? I could even use any form, and that will encapsulate any landing page or any creator network, wherever they came in from. It'll all get funneled in here. Eventually, I think it'll be valuable for a lot of you to create separate pathways, depending on where somebody came in from, whether it was the creator network, or it was this lead magnet, or your second or third lead magnet. But again, I'm all about walk before you run. Walk before you run. So let's go ahead and build a lead magnet. Let's build a welcome sequence. And then we can go ahead and iterate from there and do the marketing principles of saying, okay, this lead magnet's not working well. Let me throw something else at a wall, see what sticks. So let's start with one. And what we're going to do here at the very top, if you remember, that lead magnet, we went ahead and delivered that through that incentive email. That got delivered instantaneously when somebody went ahead and filled out their name and email address. So they've already gotten one email from us pretty quickly. I don't want to send the second one maybe immediately afterwards. And so I'm actually going to have a little bit of a delay. Again, test this out, see what makes sense. If it makes sense to wait a whole day, simply a little bit, like minutes, hours. For now, I'm going to say let's give a 1 hour buffer, maybe even just 15 minutes is fine, but let's give a little bit of a buffer between that first welcome email and the delivery of the lead magnet. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an email sequence. So this is going to be a test email sequence, right? And we can start to build that email sequence here. Now, on the right-hand side, easy to add the number of emails that I'm going to have in the sequence. So say I'm going to do 3 in this first welcome sequence. And then I can also control how long in between each email these emails are going out. So maybe email one is going immediately. Email 2 might be going 2 days after email 1. Email 3 might be going 1 day after email 2. Now, I get a lot of people who ask me, especially at the beginning of their journey, of what's the perfect amount of wait times between my emails from my welcome sequence? And I don't want to give you an answer that says for the third time that marketing is a science. It is, and that is what the answer is, that you should test it out, should try something, and then see if it works, and then change it if it's not working. But I'll say, as a starting place of where you should test, I'm a big fan of strike the iron while it's hot. There's a big time decay of when somebody comes in to being a subscriber to you and then still having the interest or remembering who you are. Like I just told you, a couple of days ago, 2-3 days ago, I had that person that I signed up for this guide to get this new workout plan. And I got that workout plan that day, but then life got in the way. I was babysitting my nieces and nephews. And so then I wasn't able to get to the gym. And all of a sudden, I've completely forgotten about who that creator even was. I got their lead magnet. I completely forgot about who they are. And so if you're waiting 7 days, 10 days for the next time that you're emailing somebody, I probably going to be like, who's this again? What are you talking about? So again, starting place, strike the iron while it's hot. I like shorter wait times at the very beginning. And then if you feel like you're annoying people, you're not getting good open rates, you can try lengthening that time as well. When we go through and start building these emails, we can build these as like text-based emails like this, or we could change these to have really, really beautiful templates that we have inside a kit. So this is one of my favorite ones, super visual, can change the colors, the background, any of the elements. If I go through and hit this plus button right here, I can easily add in any elements to make this email incredibly valuable. So I can put in people that I recommend. For example, I can add in personalization, like, hey, insert first name here, right? I can go ahead and save different sections of my email and duplicate them, put in videos or songs or images or buttons. So many different things that I can put in here. Now, what I want to do is I want to go through again. Email number one is going to be all about going ahead and describing who I am, right? So that's what I'm going to do in email number one. I'm going to get to email number two in a second. I actually want to skip over to email number three for a second because we've talked about it so many times. Email number three, I told you about engaging your audience. Hey, respond to this email, or hey, here's some level of engagement with my audience. Another way, aside from going ahead and responding to this email, another way we can do that is through a poll. Now, the reason that I like using some kind of engagement method with your audience, number one, like I said, you tend to have higher open rates from people who are engaged with you. But number two, I think one of the biggest things is this idea of learned data versus assumed data. You need both. Both are very important. But you need to have, I think, your best source to personalize the journeys. The goal of email marketing, the goal of all marketing really, is for us to send the right message at the right time to the right person. And so when we think about the right message, the right time to the right person, the right message for a particular subscriber of yours is going to be aligned to whatever challenge they have. So for me, photographer business, right? I teach people to grow their business. I have people who come to me and they're like, I have no idea how to price my services. That is my biggest challenge. I just do not know how to price my services. I have other people who have the biggest challenge is like, I have no idea how to use the gear that I have. I literally do not know how to use the photography gear that I purchased or that I'm acquiring. And so I have these two challenges really mapped out in a bunch of different content that can help, videos, guides, articles, podcasts, things like that. But I need to know which one of those two challenges you have to take you down the right path, to send you the right emails. And so again, there's learned data where I can learn, you can directly tell me what your challenge is. And then there's assumed data where I assume what your challenge is. With learned data, we're going to go ahead and do something like a poll. Like I might straight up ask you, what is your biggest challenge? And I could say option one is pricing and option two is using your gear. When somebody, not only is this so engaging, right? You need to have some level of engagement in your sequences, but I can actually keep this data on you specifically as a person inside of my kit account whenever you click one of these. I can have a tag that's applied based upon if you selected pricing as your biggest challenge or using your gear as your biggest challenge, right? Learn data. You're directly telling me, and I can use that to segment out into the next place. But in email number two, right? I told you, I like doing something called like the greatest hits automation, where I give you some of my best content in this email, right? I deliver value. We always want to be delivering value. And so in here, the value I might give is I might like describe a bunch of stuff. And then I have two links, either through buttons or hyperlink text. And I might say like, check out the pricing, video here. And then later on, I might say, check out my podcast on using your gear. And I will go ahead and link out to both these places, right? But most importantly, I will be able to tag people based on the fact they clicked on one of those links. So on this one, I might say interest in pricing. And on this link where I said people are using the gear, right? I might go ahead and tag them as interest in gear, right? So this is assumed data. This is data where I'm assuming based upon the fact that you clicked on the link to the video to go ahead and check out pricing, or you clicked on the link to go ahead and listen to the podcast on gear. I'm assuming what challenge you have. And then the other, people that I'm going through, they're directly telling me that pricing or gear is their challenge. Between those two, I'm hoping I can cover a large majority of my audience on what their challenge is. The people that respond to neither, I can have a third pathway for them to still continue to try to learn that or keep delivering them value. Let me know if that makes sense in the chat. Let me know if that helps and that makes sense. The cool things that you can do once you understand what pathway people go down, right? We can directly take them down those paths. And so the cool thing is inside a kit, we can say, well, if somebody has yes or no after sending this email, is their interest pricing or is it not pricing? If it is pricing, let's take them then down this path. If it's not pricing, well, then let's ask another question. Is it interest in gear, right? Is interest in gear what they are interested in? If it is what they're interested in, let's take them down one path. If it's not, we can take them down another path. We could start to build these pathways based upon what the interest is that people have with you. And we can really get targeted with the emails they're receiving with you, which will only keep people more and more engaged. Awesome. I know that was a lot. I know that was long. I hope that helped out here. I know that I also ramble a lot, and we're a little bit over time actually here. I do have a couple other sections that I just want to go through because we want to make some money together. So I want to teach you all a little bit of methodologies on some money, and then one last thing on recommendations. But I know a couple of people have to drop off, so feel free to drop off. The link will be sent to you of the replay, and you can check out the end here. But apologies, Kenneth, for going over time.
No, this is so great. So, but I do have one question. So,
yeah.
admin sucks the joy out of creating. I mean, like, you
Yeah.
know, so what is your favorite time-saving automation hack? I mean, you show us that email sequence, and I also heard of this term called segmentation, which is great when you click on the link, the tagging. I mean, that's amazing. I've tried to do the same thing with you know, other ESPs, other platforms that can do it. So, what is the one-time saving hack that creators aren't using but should be absolutely using right at this moment?
Well, so one thing that I'll say, I referenced it earlier actually, but a lot of people who are new to email marketing, it's really important to always keep a very engaged list of people inside of your kit account or inside of any email marketing account. And I find that a lot of people will manually go through and try to figure out who are their most engaged lists, who are their least engaged, things like that. Keeping an automatic automation that'll tell you that kind of stuff is the name of the game when you're thinking about your engaged versus disengaged list. And so we can actually go through in Kit and say, again, based upon if you haven't opened up an email or clicked on a link in X amount of time, 30 days, 15 days, right? We can label people as engaged, disengaged, or inactive, and even use those as opportunities to say, well, if they get to the disengaged stage, let's automatically send them an email saying, hey, are you still interested in these emails? Wanted to make sure, haven't seen you open up in a while. If they get to the inactive stage, let's automatically unsubscribe them, right? So many things that we can do there automatically. Apart from that, one other thing that I'll say is that a lot of people will think about automation. Like even I just showed you all an automation that revolves around email sending, that like heavily revolves around like messaging your community. But I think that there's a large value in automation that revolves all around data management, right? These tags that I keep talking about, like keeping a hold of those tags, the fields that is another way that you can store data of like what people are interested in, what they're telling you. And so using automation, fact that like I talked about how like there's a spectrum of like somebody who just heard about you to your most loyal customer and everything in between, making sure that you can denote what stage of your business somebody's in, right? Like maybe I have like 5 separate tags and it's like, discovery, consideration, decision, growth, and advocacy. And so if they've just joined your business, that means like they filled out a form. I might have an automation that very simply says like filled out any form or filled out these lead magnet forms. They're in like discovery stage, discovery tag. And as soon as they've clicked on at least one link, so I know that they've engaged with some of my content, then change tag, like remove the tag discovery and replace it with tag consideration. And there's nothing about email sending inside of this automation. It's just data management. But it's good for me to have that tag because later on, I can say, okay, Let me take everybody who's in the decision stage, who hasn't yet purchased, but they're engaged enough to potentially purchase, and let me market to them for this webinar I have so I can get them to purchase my course or something like that, right? Or let me take everybody in the advocacy stage, and these are my most loyal customers. Let me ask them to beta test this new product that I'm putting out, right? So
Wow.
the data management automations, second to none in helping you out and keeping things organized in your account.
Wow. I never thought of email management is data management and keeping that list that fresh based
Yeah.
on some kind of behaviors. I mean, I get that cart abandonment plenty of times, but like this behind the scene, that wasn't what I've been thinking about. So this is really, really opening my mind.
I love it. I love it. Well, let's talk about the most fun aspect of being a creator.
Yeah.
Let's make some money. Let's make some money together. The first example I have for you is through the power of your own paid products. And so, just as an example, like I wanted to talk to you, Kenneth, and see just like inspiration behind what you created with your AI chatbot.
Yeah. So again, it was kind of based on the prospecting activities. That was, I think, it was a couple months ago, and there was a lot of interest about creating chatbot agents to do pre-sales, post-sales, customer services. That kind of,
Yeah,
is very repetitive, very predictable, and the guardrails are pretty high. You don't have to be very creative. You don't have to have a lot of judgment even. It's pretty
yeah,
much is linear. So I wanted to productize some of those service offerings, so I started creating this landing page, and then I hop on this Zoom calls a couple times, and they
yeah.
all kind of about the same. So I decided to make a quick 2-minute video and put it on YouTube.
I love it. I love it. It's perfectly aligned to what your whole pathway is trying to get to. Your whole funnel of um, the lead magnets from Zen AI to then what they're receiving in emails, and then the ultimate product that you're ultimately trying to sell here. That's really what we want to think about when we're aligning what product we're building to what our business is. A couple other examples of how just digital products that you can create that'll easily align to your brand. We can teach people through the power of, say, like a masterclass, like Daniel McCleary does here with how to launch your podcast. We can create a paid newsletter, right? Like Daniel Gregory does. He's an artist and he teaches you through, like, he's a free newsletter. Then he goes even more in depth from his YouTube videos and his newsletter, his paid newsletter. You can create, say, like a guide, right? Carrie Olson's got this awesome voiceover guide, explains all the beginner steps of what you need to do to become a great voiceover artist. Or you can create some kind of like book, like ebook, or even it could be a tangible book as well. Daniela doing that with her cookbooks here. And so again, it's similar to the lead magnet, where whatever format you can take your learnings and package it into, you can package that into some kind of asset that people can go ahead and digest there. Or you can create an actual product or service like Kenneth has with the AI chatbots, right? If that's in your wheelhouse. But regardless, it's incredibly easy inside a Kit to actually get those products sold. And so the place that you're going to do that is under products. You can create a new product here, simply label it however you want. So maybe I'm selling coaching calls, right? This is one-on-one coaching. I can decide, by the way, if I'm paying once or it's a subscription model. You pay every month, every quarter, every year. Choose the price. So say I'm saying $100, one-time price. How am I going to fulfill this? Probably going to send them some kind of Zoom link. So I'll do that on my own, something else. And then, of course, I just have to attach this to some kind of domain. Could be your domain, could be one that we give you. But regardless, we can go ahead and create that product. And just like the landing page builder as before, super easy to like hit that plus button that you see from the email builder and landing page builder. We can go ahead and hit that and add other elements and customize what the actual sales page is going to look like. And so in there, we can go ahead and add whatever images we want there to be here. We can hit the plus button and change this into bullet points, add any other elements, and we could do that for the checkout page, the confirmation page, and the email. So super, super easy to build those products there. The second way that I want to just quickly talk about earning revenue, there's, this is a Pandora's box where we could talk about 50 different ways to earn revenue. But a secondary way that I really want to highlight that's just so easy, so tangible, does not need you to change your processes inside a Kit, is paid recommendations. Paid recommendations. So very similar to free recommendations, this is an entire marketplace of people who are willing to pay you in order to be recommended. It'll show up the same way as it does as free recommendations. So in free recommendations, you have like this pop-up that shows up when people subscribe to your landing page. And this thing pops up that says, hey, if you love me, here's other people you're going to love. Some people in here could be in the free recommendation section, right? Because you're partnering with them. Some people might be paid recommendations. Again, we have an entire marketplace that you can browse, thousands of creators, you can select a creator, and inside of those profiles, they will say, hey, I'm willing to pay $1, $2, $3, $4 even per subscriber that you send to my business. They'll have some kind of methodology of how they view like what an engaged subscriber is. So they might say like, we view engaged subscribers as a subscriber that opens up at least one email in the first 10 days of subscribing to us, or has at least clicked on one link in an email in the first 30 days of being with us, right? But so they will constitute, they'll only pay you out on those engaged subscribers, but every engaged subscriber that you send over to them, they will go ahead and pay you out. And we've seen some incredible success with this. You know, this Cole Bridge, he's another financial creator here at Kit. The quote that I love from him is he's like, his growth took off in a way that he was able to reinvest into his own growth, but he didn't have to change anything about his processes. He didn't have to change the emails he was sending, the cadence of the emails, the content of the emails. He didn't change a single thing. He just hit the recommend button to a couple people, and he was able to make $10,000 in 7 months off of doing that, off of the same list, same process that he was doing. And again, just to show, it shows very easily when you go through and hit his email address here, hit subscribe, you go ahead and get his the people that he's recommending, and you can hit subscribe as a new subscriber here. Some of these people are paid, some of these people are part of free recommendations. So to go ahead and see where that is, you can simply go to grow recommendations, and then you can hit this toggle where it says free. You can instead hit paid, and you'll be able to see the whole marketplace of people from there. So again, like if I click on this guy, you can even see this is a pretty high one, $7 per subscriber that you send over to this person, which is that's actually really, really high. That's not a very typical one. But you could see he probably has a very high like bar of like what an engaged subscriber is. But we can keep going through. You can see people who have $2.60 per subscriber, $5 per subscriber. At the end of the day, though, the most important thing that you do here, most important thing is that you're driving value for your customers and your audience. So remember that whoever you recommend, you still want it to make sure that it's in alignment to driving value to your audience. We don't want to just be recommending people for the sake of recommending people because they have high payouts. Let's make sure that they have good alignment to your audience.
But I love how effortless this is. Like basically you have an additional revenue stream by, sourcing the right recommendation that's in line with your intended audience. And you don't have to go outside to ad network and do all of this logistics. You just show us a couple clicks.
It's that easy. It's that easy. I love it.
It's amazing.
Okay, so we talked about different ways to organically grow our list. We talked about recommendations, for free recommendations on growing our list, sending beautiful emails to build trust. We're earning money through paid recommendations, through our own paid products. How do we close this flywheel? How do we close the loop? Well, if we're finding that more new subscribers equals more trust means more money comes our way, well, then why don't we go ahead and use that money to spend to grow faster? Why don't we go ahead and tail off and be the people that say, I will pay $1, $2, $3 per subscriber to drive new subscribers my way? Because if we become those people, well, then we're supercharging our growth with more brand new subscribers. More subscribers that come up here mean more people that we can dish out in recommendations, means that we're going to get more people back over for our business with the people that we're partnering with. We're going to get more trust through the welcome sequences, more money means more subscribers. This wheel will turn because it's cyclical. It'll go faster and faster, become easier and easier, produce more and more results.
Love it.
I hope this helped out. I hope this was valuable for the audience here. If there's any other questions, please let us know. And Kenneth, if you have any questions, I know you've been coming up with some good ones here. Feel free. Let me know. I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, so I did prepare some questions. I'm gonna scan the room. I think it's probably like competing with people between lunchtime and whatnot. But I do have one last juicy question.
Let's hear it.
Okay, let's get real, Shift. Okay,
Let's get real.
if someone has 0 followers, well, I had
Yes.
12, right? If someone
Sure.
has 0 and no mailing list, no tech skills, where on earth do we even start? So
Where
no
do we
fluff
even
here. What's the first thing that we should do, like right now, before the week ends?
It's a great question. This is a great question. Here's what I want you to do. What I want you to do is I want you to go through and I want you to think about the first step that I said in this flywheel. I want you to go find 3 communities right now.
Okay.
I
Okay.
want you to go think about what you're offering, right? Like what is the thing that you can teach people? What is the value that you can bring in their lives based on your topic? Write that down. Write down what that value is. And then I want you to go to 3 communities. I want you to go to 3 communities where your target audience lives. Once you know what you're offering and what your target audience is, go to 3 communities online, in person, whatever it is. And I want you to go through and read through the comments, make posts in those communities. So for me, again, I find photographer communities, and I say, hey, I'm thinking of building a guide to help people learn how to price their services, even if you haven't built it yet. Is this a challenge that a lot of you all have? Because I have experience as a photographer for 10 years. So I'm thinking of checking, creating a guide like this or creating some kind of asset like this. Check by people, see if people are interested in this. And as they say yes, say, hey, would you like to join the waitlist? Would you like to join the waitlist for that thing that I'm going to launch, this lead magnet? Go ahead and build a landing page through Kit. Build a landing page through Kit and go ahead and share that with them. Even if you don't have the asset yet, be like, hey, give them maybe like a dedicated time that you think it'll be ready. Now is a perfect time. It's December 5th. Say it is launching in the new year. And it's launching on January 2nd because January 1st, I'm going to be super tired from the New Year's Eve. And so January 2nd, I will be sending this out to you. So please, let's build that wait list right now. And you can go around and do that. In the meantime, if you have time as well, you can
Okay.
join recommendations because when those people join the whitelist, they'll get the recommendations modal. You can recommend out people will recommend you. You'll gain new subscribers through that naturally. But at the very least, have the waitlist, build it through the communities. And on January 2nd, once you've gone ahead and confirmed that people have this challenge, deliver that lead magnet. Deliver that lead magnet. Start with that. Um, it's so accessible. It's so easy. It's so in front of you to build a business around whatever your expertise is. And so start by delivering great value to people, find those people in dedicated communities and start building the business of your dreams.
Oh, such a good recipe. And
I love
it's very feasible to mere models, right? We're not holograms. We're not like smart as you, can be everywhere. Like it's 26 hours a day. We can't do that.
Look, I truly think that even the things that I do, very accessible. Like find the way that you like to teach. I like to teach through live workshops and webinars and things like that. If that's your style, go build that. Go do that. Make that the core lead magnet, right? That you should join this webinar with me. Anything can and should be. Um, these are just mediums, right? Just use your knowledge and repurpose them into different mediums, whether that's webinars, videos, podcasts, anything like that. It's a great question. I love it.
Love
I
it.
love it.
Love it. Thank you so
Um,
much.
we have for you uh, some awesome bonus content as well. So feel free to go ahead and get access to that there. And then we have just a couple of next steps for you as well. So number one, again, we have that great bonus. If we want to go ahead and share that as well with the audience here. Kenneth, do you mind speaking on the bonus a little bit here?
Yes. So I've kind of been going through the recipe. I've been looking at your emails, 800 of them saving my inbox. You've been sharing this tip. So I created this lead magnet. It's basically a recipe, a framework of what we captured at a high level and some actionable steps. So it's like a quick cookbook. You follow along the 4 or 5 steps. And there's also a follow up. You can actually set up a meeting with me quickly because I actually been sharing some of these tips and some video. I got some video resources as well. So if you want to actually know how to create a landing page single-handed blindfolded within 18 minutes, there's actually a video already, somewhere on the YouTube channel. So I want to bundle all of that on a silver platter and deliver to you guys before Christmas.
Love it. That's incredible, and that's going to be super valuable to the audience here. And then paired off with all the learnings you're going to get from Kenneth's bonus there, you can apply those inside of your free kit account. So your kit accounts that you've downloaded and created today, 14 days, 14 days for free on us. And then after that, we have an exclusive discount because you're part of Kenneth's community specifically. We're giving you all a 30% discount if you do want to upgrade to a paid plan after those 14 days. Even if you don't, we have a free plan here at Kit. A lot of what we talked about with the Creator Network, right? A lot of what we talked about with like simple automation, email newsletters, creating the lead magnets, you can do that inside of our free plan. So by all means, once you come to the the crossroads at 14 days, if there's elements that are really speaking to you, I think there's a lot of reasons why you can grow your business very fast through some of our paid tools. Feel free to choose that path. But if you aren't ready yet for that, you can also choose the free plan and go from there. Kenneth, this was super fun. Super fun. I appreciate you. I appreciate the audience, and I just appreciate you for having me here today.
No, we're so blessed to have you, and the production team behind Kit has been amazing. I mean, from Justine, Zoe, everybody has been like, very, very on the game. And and you deliver like this crazy value. This is like the best Christmas ever, man.
There we go. I love to see it. I love to see it. Well, thank you again, everybody, for coming by today. And I hope to see you at the next one. Have
Yeah.
a good day, Kenneth.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Bye now.
Bye now.